The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Vanish from WSI ALM, welcoming you to our yet another edition of our LaunchPad Webinar series. It's the 2nd of December, and I'm joined by my colleague Armando.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to have everyone back. Hope everybody enjoyed the very family-oriented and safe Thanksgiving holiday for our U.S. ICs.
Terrific. Great. Again, welcome to our LaunchPad webinar. And without further ado, here's the format that we follow. Again, for the benefit of some of the ICs that are logged on to our LaunchPad webinar for the first time. Again, I do see a couple of new names that are signed on for the first time. Welcome to our LaunchPad webinar edition. And it's always good to see new faces joining us every week. Again, this is really done for your benefit, for the IC's benefit. So the more you can spread the word for your friends and your colleagues to attend this webinar, the better it is. It's always good to spread the knowledge. So the format that we follow is pretty standardized. We start the session off with the latest news and articles. So what we do is we essentially scour the internet for what's making news out there, save you all the headache and the hassle, and update you on all the latest news and events that you as the IC should be really aware of in this 1 hour every Tuesday at 11 a.m. And what we also do is that we have a tool of the week section, and this is an area that we would be updating and changing on a regular basis, just because there's a lot of stuff that we want to put out there in these webinars. So for example, today we'll be starting off a series that Armando is going to be leading out, which is more sort of like a sales-oriented series, and a lot of the ICs have gotten in touch with us and require feedback from a sales perspective on how to best pitch digital marketing services to end clients. It's a hot topic, so we figured that we'd address it a little more formally. And there's a really cool series that Google has launched that Armando is going to be showcasing today in the webinar. And this was a part of the seminar series that Google had presented to us recently at our conference that was held just last week, I guess. Armando attended the conference at Google's offices in Toronto, and this was unveiled over there. And it's a really, really great learning series that Google's put out. So Armando is going to be talking about that today as a part of our Tool of the Week section. And then, of course, we have our regular Q&A session. So if you have any questions that are related to digital marketing, or any questions with regards to some of the topics that we'd be presenting today, feel free to ask us these questions in the question box, and then we'll take questions towards the end of the webinar. Okay, so let's dive in. So for the first news item of the week, there's a bit of news on Penguin 3.0. We covered this in our webinar, I believe it was 3 weeks back or so prior to Thanksgiving. There was an update that took place in Google, and that was essentially Penguin 3.0. That's at least what the speculation was. And Google did confirm that it was Penguin 3.0 last week, and the refresh is taking place. Interestingly enough, this particular update now that's taking place is sites that had lost traffic or had lost rankings regaining that traffic and regaining rankings. So this particular update that's taken place in the past 3 or 4 days is actually a reversal of 3.0 that was rolled out prior to Thanksgiving. So the sites are actually recovering back. So any sort of damage that was done by Penguin 3.0 is being reversed as Google's seeing the impact of Penguin 3.0 that's taking place. And we've put in a little timeline for all the dates for all the Penguin releases that have taken place, just for the diehard Google algorithm followers that are signed on today. So you can see the first Penguin update took place in 2012. It was in April, and then you have you've essentially had 5 more updates after the first one, on a lot of them taking place in 2012, and then a couple of updates in 2013, and then you had the Penguin 3.0 update that took place in October, which was the 17th of October. And we covered this quite extensively in terms of the sites that had been impacted in our webinar in October. All right. So the second item of, not essentially a news item, but a very useful article that we wanted to showcase in our webinar today was the utilization of mobile tools in your SEO strategy. And again, this is an area that we've been consistently showcasing to the ICs, is the importance of mobile as far as your SEO strategy is concerned. And this article by Search Engine Watch essentially compiles all of the information in terms of what's available, some of the tools that are available, so as to give you a good insight into where you stand as far as your mobile offering and your mobile strategy is concerned, and what you potentially can do so as to make it even better, even stronger. So let's take a quick look at this article. It's written by Josh McCoy. He writes for the Search Engine Watch, and so he starts off by talking about the fact that if you're not aware of your share of mobile versus desktop, you can always look at that data set in analytics. So when you log into analytics, on the left-hand side, you'd have a mobile section. You click on that, and you click on the overview part in your analytics report, and over there you can start seeing as to what the mobile and the tablet percentage is as compared to desktop traffic. And over here, as you can see in this example that Josh has provided, the split is around 56-34%. That's what the split is. And this is sort of like consistent, in sync with what the industry average is, which is anywhere from 30 to 35%. Most of the sites now are seeing about 30 to 35% of the traffic coming in from mobile devices and tablets. So this data set here that he's taken a screenshot of is very similar to what the industry trends are right now. And if you haven't looked at this data, I would suggest that you look at this data really seriously, because this is a perfect opportunity for you to upsell mobile-friendly websites or responsive websites to your clients. Show them the data, and if the site is not mobile-friendly, it's not responsive, then here's this percentage of traffic that isn't getting a good experience, a user experience, when they come to the website. So it's a really cool data set to have an opportunity to set up a nice little upsell, and you got data to back it up, right? Josh then goes on to talk about some of the tools that are available so as to give us a better opportunity to do SEO, more specifically mobile SEO. One of the things, of course, for mobile SEO is the site speed. And Google has the tool, the Google Page Speeds Insights tool. You can click on this link, and it's actually going to take you to the tool. If I just click on it really quick, just to give you a little quick preview. So here's your Page Speed Insights tool. So you can type in any URL, and then you can assess the speed that that URL is associated with as far as mobile and desktop is concerned. And any speed, I'd say that's over 80, even 75 or so, I would say is a relatively good speed for mobile and for desktop. So it's always a good idea, especially when you're making any changes to your website, if you're launching new websites, if you've made some landing pages on your website or done any sort of a coding enhancement. Always keep checking your site speed, because your site speed is important and you don't want that slowing down. Google is considering site speed as a ranking factor in the algorithm. So here's one of the tools that he showcases, and then another tool that he showcases is a Google mobile friendly test. We showcased this particular tool in our webinar last week. So if you go in over here, it's a really cool website. You just type in your URL. So in this case, I'm just going to type in our URL, hit analyze. It's a pretty cool tool. It runs the report really quickly, and it's going to spit out the information in a matter of seconds. So let's just wait for this test to get completed here. Again, this is a really quick test that you can do. It's a publicly accessible tool. You're sitting at the client's office. You can just quickly run this test in front of them and show them whether the website is mobile friendly or not. And if it isn't, again, this is something that can be utilized for a perfect upsell opportunity right there and then with the client. And this is information that's coming in directly from Google, right? So the client would be inclined to pay attention to it, since it's coming directly from them. So the report's running here, almost completed. And you'll see when the report's completed, it sort of like tells you whether your website is mobile friendly or not, right? So in our case, great, we passed, though this page is mobile friendly. And then you have several different opportunities on, here's how Googlebot sees this page. So if I scroll down, they even give you a little screenshot of what's coming up in our website when somebody's trying to look at it from a excuse me, from a tablet or a mobile device. And it's interesting, if your website is not mobile friendly, then they actually give you options in order to make your website mobile friendly of what you need to be doing, right? I'm not going to go into details because we did cover this in our previous webinar, but if you do fail the test, then it goes on further to give you information related to what you need to do in order to make your website mobile friendly. He also talks about Google Webmaster Tools mobile usability. So if you might remember, we'd again covered this in our webinar about, I'd say about a month or so back, where we talked about Webmaster Tools being enhanced by Google so as to give you more information with regards to the mobile usability and friendliness of your website. So they've added this tab, which is called the Mobile Usability tab in Analytics. When you click on it, gives you a lot of good insights, a lot of good information on some mobile related stats associated with your website. So here's another opportunity to kind of look at what potentially you can be utilizing as a data set that's being showcased under this mobile usability tab, and then using that intelligence to make your mobile accessibility that much better for your visitors, right? And then he goes on to talk about the fact that Google's now started showing actual text in their search rankings. So if you do type in any sort of like search queries, and you're typing that search query in from, let's say, a tablet or a mobile device, then Google's now starting to show physical text that actually marks a website as being mobile friendly or not. And if your website is not mobile friendly, then it says not mobile friendly, or in a lot of instances they even have an icon that's coming up like a little mobile phone icon with a cross against it that essentially is discouraging visitors from clicking on your URL and decreasing your click-through rates. Doesn't matter if you're in the top spot, but if Google starts showing this non-mobile friendly and this cell phone icon with a cross on it, it's a pretty discouraging sign, and you're going to lose a lot of significant click-through rate with regards to people not accessing your website and going to your competitor potentially that does have a mobile friendly website. So here's another perfect upsell opportunity and a great visual so as to show the clients as to why they should be really considering this if they haven't already, right? Then the author Josh finishes off by talking about what some of the starting points are. What mobile framework are you employing? Am I making any of these simple mistakes? And he talks about what you should be aware of, right? And then concludes this really cool article where, again, a lot of the information we were aware of, but it's nice to have all of this information sort of like encapsulated in one condensed article itself and have the information readily available. Great. So the next news item again is about Google. And Google's launched a really interesting model and a really interesting concept, and it's going to be sort of like interesting to see how this plays out in the landscape. They're testing something new out. So the program's called Google Contributor, okay? And what it basically does is that there's a handful of sites that are participating in this. It's a beta test that they're doing right now, okay? Some of these sites include the Onion, Mashable, IMGOR, Science Daily, WikiHow. So these are some of the websites that are participating in this beta right now. And what it basically does is that depending on, like, they give you the opportunity to contribute a month to these websites, okay? So if, let's say, I'm looking at Mashable on a regular basis, right? And I love the content, great content, and but I don't want to see ads on that website. So what I can do is that I can basically mark a contribution to Mashable every month. So, I tell them I'm going to donate $1 or $2 or $3 to Mashable, right? And I can choose my donation. And then what it's going to do is that it's going to basically remember, it's going to cookie me in. So when I actually go and visit the Mashable website, it's not going to show me any ads. And it's actually going to show me a little thank you icon that says thank you for contributing to this particular website on a monthly basis, right? So it's just kind of laying out this for you. So choose a monthly contribution, visit your participating sites, and then as you can see over here, a pixel pattern appears normally where you'd see an ad and it says thank you for being a contributor. Alternatively, you might also see a thank you message when you're browsing the website. And the whole goal is advertising is what really contributes and pays for a lot of the content that's on these websites that we try and access, right? So this is a sort of like a direct way where you as the user are contributing to the advertising dollars for these websites so as to keep them profitable and keep them giving you great content. That's your way of contributing to them, right? So a new test that Google's doing, and it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the advertising industry is not going to like it too much because it's lesser impressions for them that could potentially be impressions for their campaigns. So I'm not sure how the advertising industry is going to take to this, but from a user perspective and for the sites directly, it's a win-win situation because they're still making money off you. They're guaranteed this monthly donation that you're giving them, right? And you don't get to see the ads of the user because ads, I mean, at a certain point in time can be pretty bothersome, right? So new experiment that started out. Let's see how it plays out, and if it changes the way we are looking at websites in any way. We'll definitely keep you posted on how this whole program evolves and how it takes off. Again, knowing Google, a lot of the things take off and they just kind of die out, but we keep a close watch on this, see how this pans out. Okay, so the other news item was the FBI officially issuing a malware warning to all U.S. businesses, and some of us probably have experienced this firsthand. We had a couple of clients where there was security issues, sites got hacked, and that's been increasing frequently. Increasing lately in terms of frequency. So something to watch out for. And the key takeaway is that if you have a website that potentially, let's say, is sort of like an e-commerce website, it's got time-sensitive information, it's got time-sensitive data, it cannot be down, it's highly, highly recommended to speak with your hosting company to try and see as to what you can do in order to prevent any sort of like DDoS, denial of service attacks, any sort of attempts for hacking your website. Make sure that you have a backup. You'd be amazed the number of times you come across sites or website owners that have not subscribed to the backup service provided by the hosting company because there is an additional fee and they lose their entire database just because they haven't backed up the website. So again, just a reminder to check with your clients and the hosting companies and to make sure that you have the backup service enabled with your hosting company. And there's different levels of backups that you can do. You can do a daily backup, you can do a weekly backup, you can do a monthly backup, and the price of the backup service varies depending on the frequency. But this is something that's definitely recommended in today's day and age with all the mishaps that are taking place. This particular warning by the FBI was prompted from a recent cyber attack that actually caused the Sony Pictures website to shut down its systems worldwide. And this happened after the attacks kind of been linked to North Korea because Sony Pictures is about to release a site that talks about a plot to assassinate. I think it's a funny movie. I'm forgetting the lead actor in that movie, but yeah, but basically it's a movie about how there's a potential plot to assassinate the North Korean leader. North Korea had said that if you launch this website, we're going to create havoc for you, so you better watch it, right? So they'd given a warning out there, which obviously Sony did not listen to, and Sony had this massive cyber attack that caused all of its systems shut down worldwide. Which is what prompted the FBI to kind of issue this warning out there to all the U.S. businesses. So again, the best that there's no foolproof way of preventing your website from getting hacked ever. It's just not possible. So if you have a hosting company that says that we guarantee your site's not going to get hacked, impossible. Even the CIA website gets hacked. So what's a normal website, right? So the best thing to do is just make sure that you have a solid a backup strategy. That's the best thing you can do so that if your site does get hacked, you can get it back up and running in a matter of seconds or minutes, right? Great. So the other article we wanted to showcase today was again from our friends at QuickSprout. Great the content of this website. They talked about structuring a perfect LinkedIn profile. Again, this topic, there's a lot of material, there's a lot of information on this topic, but we like the way the information was sort of like condensed into this nice little infographic. It's a great infographic that can be a part of your presentations when you're talking about social media, or how you can potentially make LinkedIn structure your LinkedIn profile. So that's why we decided to showcase it, just because of the way the information was structured out. So it talks about the fact that the most important reason, or the most important driving factor for your profile should be to make sure that your profile is showing up in the search results for relevant keywords. So if people are typing in relevant keywords related to your industry, you want to make sure that you're showing up, because that's the whole point of actually doing or participating in LinkedIn in the first place, right? So make sure that you have a profile that's properly keyword optimized. Use premium accounts. That's a recommendation. The standard accounts, the free accounts are great, but with premium accounts you can do a lot more stuff. You get 15 introductions with the basic premium account, which is a fantastic networking tool. And I'm not sure if Heidi is one of the local ICs in Toronto, if she's signed on today, but Heidi is sort of like taking LinkedIn networking to the next level. She's opened a lot of doors at a lot of Fortune 500 companies out here in Toronto, just solely on the basis of utilizing the social selling tactic, and solely strictly on LinkedIn. She has just done phenomenally well, where she started off with a zero pipeline, and she's been able to open doors and build her pipeline from zero strictly by focusing on her LinkedIn strategy and utilizing social selling. Again, very impressed with what she's been able to do. We've seen it firsthand, and something that just tells us how powerful LinkedIn and the potential LinkedIn can be. And I know that lead generation is one of the pain points, one of the severe pain points with every single IC that comes on and starts working in the WSI franchise. This is a really powerful way to make sure that you have a consistent flow of leads that are coming in. Definitely something to pay attention to. Upgrading to your premium account also improves your profile visibility. So LinkedIn's algorithms give you more bang for your buck, so to speak. If you upgrade to a premium account, they give you more benefit. So there's a lot of features that are associated with upgrading a profile to a premium profile. Use a professional name, of course, that's understood. Use a professional profile image. I mean, you know, don't be like the mayor of Toronto and have a picture taken of you when you're like, you know, potentially smoking crack, right? So not recommended. So just make sure that you have a nice professional image there. Write a short description about yourself to make sure it encapsulates your experience really well, and then talks about connecting the dots in your background. There's a statistic that they highlight that about 70% of users use LinkedIn to reconnect with past business associates. And the way that that takes place is when you showcase your experience and you highlight the companies that you were associated with or you worked with in the past. LinkedIn's algorithm then starts matching up people that your network might be associated with, and gives you opportunities to connect with them, right? And that's really what LinkedIn's all about, right? Make sure that your profile URL is customized, as opposed to you know, you see on this right hand side where it's like a bunch of numbers and names. That's your profile URL. Just make sure you have your profile URL customized to your actual name itself, right? LinkedIn.com Neil K. Patel, right? So just make sure you have a custom URL. Offer your complete contact information. Part of the frustration is with a lot of the people that are trying to connect with you is the fact that, let's say, they might not be in a premium account. They might see your profile, but you haven't really given out your contact info, so they're not able to get in touch with you. So that can be a little frustrating. So it's always good to have your complete contact information on your LinkedIn profile, and make sure that your profile is public, not private, because if it is marked private, then nobody's going to be able to see it, only your network. So this way you're just limiting access to your profile. So make sure that it's public, so as many people can see it as possible, right? link to your blog and your website. So have links to relevant sites that you're associated with in your profile. And again, another statistic is the fact that the average sales order per LinkedIn visitor is $45. That's a pretty interesting stat. So just make sure you have the appropriate linkages that are associated with your profile. Endorsements are fantastic. So whenever you have an opportunity for somebody endorsing any of your skills that are mentioned in LinkedIn, take full advantage of that. There's 10 million endorsements that are being given every single day on LinkedIn, which is phenomenal. Ask for endorsements and endorse others, so it's sort of like a mutually beneficial thing. Do to others as they do to you. So this is going to help enhance your profile. And again, another statistic, on an average, each LinkedIn user gets 5 endorsements, right? Add update any projects that you worked on, because 66% of companies hire based on experience. So if somebody's looking at your LinkedIn profile, your potential employer or your client's potential employer, then you want to make sure that they're updating their profile with all the latest projects that they've worked on. And ask for and give recommendations, right? That's pretty important. LinkedIn groups are really powerful. The whole LinkedIn group strategy can be really nicely incorporated into your lead generation methodology, and that's really what social selling is all about, where you target focus groups, you target specific groups based on what your strengths are, what your industry is that you want to specialize in, and then the whole idea is to become a subject matter expert in that particular group, and then establish your expertise in that vertical, in that area, so everybody sort of like solicits advice from you when it comes to that particular group. Add publications, update publications, always. Armando's going to probably chip in here, but I think it's the whole 411 methodology, Armando. So it's like, 4 official posts, 1 personal post, etc., etc. So make sure that you're always adding information consistently about the topics that you want to establish authority in and associate them with your profile. Be active daily. That's a good sign. That's a sign that you are an active participant and an enabler. So make sure that you're active daily. 40% of LinkedIn users check their LinkedIn daily, and it takes at least 20 posts a month to reach 60% of your LinkedIn audience. Very interesting. So 20 posts is what it takes to reach about 60% of your audience, right? Best times to post: 10 to 11 a.m. on Tuesday Eastern is the best time and day to post on LinkedIn for engagement, which sort of like makes sense because Monday is again catch-up day. Tuesday 10 to 11 is the best time to get you updates, right? The other benefit is of a premium account is the fact that you can see who's been viewing your profile. So you can sort of like tap into leads, because if you see there's people or employees from a particular company that are looking at your profile, or that are prospects that are in your pipeline and they're looking at your profile, means that they're looking at you seriously and they're doing their due diligence and their reference checks on you. So that also sort of gives you an idea of what's happening with your profile. A very, very cool feature. So just wanted to showcase this because we thought the information presented here was quite interesting and beneficial for you. And the whole goal is to take what's in this infographic and then relook your LinkedIn profile and make sure that you're covering your bases with all of these best practices that have been covered in this infographic today. All right. Interesting bit of news for any of the New Yorkers that are signed on. So the ads are going to be funding New York's city's plan for the world's fastest municipal Wi-Fi network. So New York's in the midst of setting up the fastest municipal Wi-Fi network. It's going to be costing a lot of money. I believe is around $400–500 million to fund this whole thing, and the ads are going to fund it. And the way that the city of New York is doing this is that they are taking these payphones. When's the last time you used a payphone? I guess probably safely 10–15 years. So they're taking these obsolete payphones and they are basically converting these payphones into Wi-Fi hubs And there's three tech firms, Titan, the Control Group, and Qualcomm, announced this whole program, which is a Link NYC program that's going to transform over 10,000 payphones into a Wi-Fi hotspots. And that's going to basically be utilized to offer speeds that are 200 times faster than some of even the LTE connections, right? Without any charges, data limits, it's going to be phenomenal. So interesting to see how this plays out. It's going to cost, as I mentioned, around $400 or $500 million, and these three companies plan to sponsor that, and well, plan to fund that via ads that they're going to be displaying in these hotspots all across the city. Great idea, and imagine what that's going to do to internet activity and internet access, and the internet usage overall. And this is just great information, great news for digital marketers like us, because it basically means more work for us, more people need us. And so wish a lot of the other cities follow the same example. This is just great news. All right, so the other news item that we wanted to showcase was Yahoo is on an acquisition spree once again. So for some of you guys, you might be aware that Yahoo acquired Tumblr for $1 billion, and that acquisition was done about a year back, I believe. And so they've done another acquisition. Marissa Mayer, Yahoo CEO, is on a pretty aggressive acquisition spree. She wants to either build, and if not build, she just wants to go out there and buy the best and the best of what's out there so as to really grow Yahoo. Marissa Mayer is an ex-Google employee, so she's very familiar with Google's tactics, right? So she wants Yahoo to take on Google, right? So Marissa Mayer sort of like is seeing the future. Yahoo, I would say, is seeing the future, and they're seeing that video pre-roll ads are increasingly becoming really, really important from an ad delivery perspective as well as a revenue generation perspective. And it's with this foresight that they decided to pick up this company called BrightRoll for $640 million. Again, not a lot of you might have heard of BrightRoll, but it is the agency that has the biggest reaching audience share with regards to digital video ads. So they're sort of like an ad marketplace. BrightRoll's an ad marketplace that delivers video ads, and they have a bunch of websites in their network. And so it's sort of like an ad network, an ad agency, and they're already profitable. BrightRoll made about $100 million last year, if I remember correctly. So they're already a profitable company, and so they've just been acquired for $640 million in cash, and it is, as I mentioned, the second largest acquisition with Marissa Mayer behind the $1.1 billion acquisition of Tumblr that Yahoo did. So they definitely are taking this whole video pre-roll ad segment pretty seriously, and they expect it to grow. And it's as I mentioned, it's with this foresight that they've decided to invest and pick up BrightRoll. Great. So Armando, it's over to you.
Thank you, Manish. And just to go back a little bit on the LinkedIn best practices, I mean, I think that it should be part of any consultant's marketing mix. It's very important. As a matter of fact, we're trying to hopefully be able to get Heidi to do a part of one of our webinar series. So that should be coming up. Most likely will be in the new year, but definitely something to keep an eye out, because like Manish said, we've seen success. It does take a lot of work, so it's not just posting. It's really, she has a whole strategy, and I'm pretty sure she'll be more than happy to share with the ICs in order for you to also, implement best practices. So having said that, I also wanted to share with you a little bit about our sales corner, and I was reading an interesting article in Moz about how to select the perfect clients, and it kind of dawned on me that sometimes as consultants and as business owners, we tend to wear different hats, and one of the hats that we wear in sales is really to get the sales in, and we need to bring in the new clients. But it's also very important that as consultants, in order to and I talked about this before, in order to build a great image in your local business community in order to build an image in overall for your business. You have to definitely have the right clients. You have to have clients that are going to provide great references, that are going to back you up, and the relationship may not be always rosy, but the whole point is that wherever you can possible, try to select the perfect clients, or ideally, quote unquote, the perfect clients. Sometimes we inherit these clients that are coming with bad habits, mistrust, disloyalty, and unfortunately, if we were to able to screen them earlier, we would have been able to weed them out, because then they become a headache. So I'm pretty sure all of us have had that experience, and unfortunately, it's a matter of putting some elements together, or some pre-screening items together to make sure that you're bringing in the right clients. So this article was actually written by a gentleman by the name of Bill Sabal, who's actually a member of an agency. And obviously he talks a lot about the agency model, but he talks about really selecting the perfect client. And sometimes client and consultant relationships are like marriages. You want to have that relationship. You always have the the good, the bad, and the ugly. But also, before you get married, you start with dating, right, and courting. So these are some of the recommendations that I kind of took down from this interesting article in regards to how to qualify your prospects before onboarding begins. So how do you also put a little bit of pressure on these prospects to make sure that you're bringing in somebody that's going to generate someone who's going to build a long-term relationship with you, someone who's also going to generate lots of business for you, and someone that you're going to be comfortable working with and helping them grow their business. So here are some of the things that he kind of talked about in regards to how to approach the right people. And one of the key things that he talks about is that nowadays hiring or recruiting a new client, it's kind of like online dating, right? So obviously people are out there looking for different companies, different agencies or companies that are doing SEO or digital marketing, and basically they're shopping around, and their website's pretty much like their online dating personal page, personal profile. So the first thing that he talks about is that your website is more than a brochure. It's a communication device. And in his case, and what that means is sharing in your IC website a bit more about just what WSI does, but also focusing a little bit more on your mission, your vision statement, the type of work that you enjoy doing. So that way you're kind of letting these prospects know a little bit more about your style of work, your way of operating as a consultant. And as a matter of fact, in their website, and he gives you an example, they actually have "Are We the Right Fit" page, right? He actually has a page. They actually have a page where they actually go through a number of elements in the "Are We the Right Fit" page to make sure that the client reads it even before they go into one of their preliminary discussions. He actually sends them to this page where it's pretty much a little bit about what the organization is and what their belief system is, their vision, mission statement, but also to help them understand a little bit about the culture of this agency. Right? So it's an interesting way of educating the prospects about what type of clients best work with this agency. The name of the agency is called greenlaneseo.com. But basically, they have different sections in this "Are We the Fit" page in regards to are you willing to work with this type of a company? Is this something that this is a partner you would enjoy working with? So interesting. It's an interesting approach to weeding out those people that may want to be micromanagers or maybe scared of change, maybe scared of pushing the envelope. Maybe they're more conservative marketing business owners, so may not be the right fit if you are a consultant that's always looking out for new things out there in the market, and you're kind of leading edge and creating digital disruption, right? So that's one thing that you can probably potentially apply in process steps is really perhaps having an "Are we the right fit" page, or a type of a page within your website where you're kind of describing a little bit more about the clients that work best with you, right? Number two, he also talks about always be transparent. You want to be able to set the expectations of the relationship and that memo of understanding before you bring them on board. Okay, before you bring them on board. And the reason is because you want to make sure that you want to have clients that, in terms of strategy and deployment of that strategy, they're going to work with you, not against you. And at ALM, we sometimes do see that with some of the IC clients where the customer or the client actually dictates the strategy, whereas it should be the other way around. It should be the IC in collaboration with the client based on their feedback, dictating the relationship or guiding that relationship in the strategy, right? Because what ends up happening is then, if the client tells the IC, well, I want, jump, the IC jumps right away, and then we at the back, the production team, have to jump. And sometimes, doing knee-jerk effect moves without putting thought on it, a bit of thought on it, can create, can hamper the success of or the performance of any digital marketing campaign, whether it be SEO, PPC, or social media, right? So it's really also letting them know that as a consultant, you put yourself in a position of expertise and also qualifying your clients. You don't want to work with everybody, right? You kind of want to position yourself as a premium consultancy offering, and not just don't just take all. Right? Because sometimes when we take all clients, they can create mistakes. So this is an area where I think that we have to be a bit more careful and put a little bit more attention when we're pitching to new clients. You don't want to get into a situation, and I always say that it's like a spaghetti, right? The client tells you, yeah, my website is good. Yes, you start SEO, and then once you get into the back end of the hood, the hood of the car or the website, you start finding out that the coding is all messed up. They've been doing some negative backlinking, some black hat tactics, and it's better to be upfront and try to weed out prospects that are going to cause you more headaches in the future, right? So in this case, what they do in this transparency is they actually do a bit of what they call an audit, quote unquote an audit. They audit their clients in terms of what their understanding of SEO service is all about, and really a lot of questions about what they like, what they don't like, what they liked about their past clients, and the whole point is to actually send some red flags, right? If you have a prospect that's bad mouthing every other company they worked in the past, then that means that, you're just the next one in line. Unfortunately, as it is, some clients are like that. Now, if they have one or two bad experiences because of the nature of our industry, unfortunately, that's okay. But if you're hearing a lot of negative coming from your prospect, I mean, in reality, do you really want to take that as a client, because that's the type of client that you'll be working with on a daily basis? So you want to be able to do that, and at the same time you want to explain to them a little bit about what your model as a consultant is, right? And they go, the author here talks about how their agency really look and like to work with clients who are A, flexible, who B, are fast moving, they're interested in brand building, and interested in long-term relationships. 4 key things that they kind of really put forth to the prospect in the beginning of the relationship. This is before signing the contract, right? This is where you're getting to know each other, where you're dating. That's probably your first or second meeting with the client. You want to be, you want to be able to kind of put your foot down, kind of what I like to call a memo of understanding, a preliminary memo of understanding, if we can call it that, where you kind of tell them, look, this is who I am, this is how we work, this is how our clients best work with us, and this is the type of relationships that we're looking for. So it's very important, because if you have a client or a prospect, sorry, that they're not flexible, they want to only get their way, and they don't want to cooperate with your strategy, with you're the marketeer, then you know what, you're always going to be having a challenge selling any task or provision to this prospect. The other thing is, if you do have a prospect that they like to micromanage everything, then why are they paying you? might as well do it themselves, right? And if they like to move very slow, one of the biggest issues that we have is that we understand that clients take their time, going through the whole content editing process and content approval process. And some clients, they're if they're really keen on their marketing, they're pretty fast and then they get back to you. But then there are clients that probably your activities and your deliverables at the end of their to-do list, then obviously the results are gonna be the same. And so you have to make sure that you bring these items to light. Make a list, of things that you, throughout the first meeting that you introduce yourself to the prospect and that you pick up, and share that back with them, the things that you would like, you feel that are important in order for this relationship to work with. Okay. Again, it's like dating, and I'll tell you that if you're able to do this, you will be able to have healthier clients. As a matter of fact, one of the things that they shared in the article, which was interesting, is that ever since they started doing this, their retention rate pretty much is about 80 to 90%, and the level of satisfaction pretty much totally improve and increase, because you're actually working with like-minded people. Okay, so that's one of the key things. The number two thing that I kind of wanted to share with you is another area that they want to focus is ask the right questions. So obviously, the client's going to be providing you with some information, and you just have to now qualify them and ask the right questions. And some of these questions are already in the IBA, but maybe you want to add one or two of these questions. For example, can you describe your business model and product service? This is very important. It's very important that you dig deep into this area, because you want to really understand what their business model is, what are the products, what are those quick wins that you can go after in the first 3 months, right, in order to deliver results to the client, but also add value, right? What has your experience with, digital marketing has been in the past? You want to get all the negativity out. For many years, I was in the corporate recruiting world, and basically one of the key things that I used to, and they still do it, I know that the right recruiters still do this. They actually want to get all the negativity out, and see how these people react when they start kind of spilling all the candy in the lobby and telling you all the negative things, because you want to make sure that you don't want to bring a bad apple into the mix, right? So similar here, you want to be able to kind of get a bit of a sense of what their experience has been in the past. And like I said, it's not all bad. Some of them just unfortunately have been burned in the past, but you want to make sure that you are managing their expectations and you understand what you're getting involved into. Again, what are your PPC SEO goals? This question is just as important as your budget. What is your budget, right? Because to them, to clients, they all care about sales, but you know what, you want to make sure that, okay, we can get you sales, but we want to make sure that you have the right product, right, that is competitive in the market, it has a competitive pricing, that it has that is added value to your customers, because if it's just there's no differentiation out in the market, today's customer can choose from many variations of that one product. So you want to really understand what their goals are, whether it be from digital marketing, SEO, and PPC. To me, in the past, probably in the past 6 months, working closely with ICs and really being involved in the IBA process with them, I've noticed that this is one of the key areas that you should be focusing on, to try to understand what's in the back of the mind of the prospect, right? If they want to, if we're going to get into a relationship, we want to be open, and this is very important. What's your mission or positioning statement is very, very important. How do you stand out? Again, very important. And this is one here is, are you comfortable with an agency that may challenge your plan and ideas? Okay, this is where you're going to find out how open-minded that prospect is. Right, and you may even throw in a bit of a story and say, look, in the past we've had clients that they tell us they are open-minded, but once we start implementing our ideas, our strategy, our team is working, this is the pushback that we get. So are you comfortable with that? Right, so definitely that's important. And obviously, there's about 13, 14 questions there, but one of the ones that I chose was also, what is your budget, preferred start time, and end date, right? So always, I always tell some of the SEs that I'm working with, time, interest, money. Very simple to remember. You want to make sure they have the time to put into the dating the dating dance during the qualification process, that they're interested in the service and that they have the money. So time, interest, money. So these are things, if you want, I mean, I put the URL here. Have a look at it. It's a bit of a reflection now going into 2015. How do you bring on how do you select? There's never the perfect client, but let's get close to it, right? I mean, there's not nobody has a perfect marriage, right? But you try to work at it, and you got to have a great partner too, because if your partner's not working at it, I mean, you can be the perfect husband, like myself, but if my wife wouldn't work with me with my strengths and weaknesses, and I wouldn't work with her in her strengths and weaknesses, it wouldn't be a good marriage. So how to find, I don't want to say the perfect, but the ideal client. So this is one of the things I want to share with you today, and I'm not sure if Vinish wants to add something to it, because I know Vinish, we've kind of been into a couple of spaghetti relationships with some clients.
Well, no, the only thing that I want to add is we got the perfect guest speaker for the next one. I'm going to bring your wife in and hold you to what you just said. So I got that best person lined up for the webinar for next week. All right.
A different session.
All right. So more to the next one. Here you go, Mondo.
All right. So, like Vinisha mentioned, I was actually last week with some members of THO, Raj, Anna, and Cecilia from head office. They kindly invited us to visit Google's office here in Toronto. They actually had a bit of a training program. It was a one-day, actually half-day training program on what they're actually working right now with their channel partners, and it was very interesting. I'll tell you, the content of the conference, or the half-day conference, was very good. It wasn't something that I would say most of you, or I didn't know. I mean, a lot of it made common sense. But what they've done is basically grab best business practices, and this is Google actually investing money and putting a bit of skin into the game, right? And actually, they created this whole training program called the Trusted Digital Media Advisor. Okay, and I'm pretty sure some ICs already know about this program, and I wanted to share this with the ones that probably are not aware of this program. It's a great program specifically for new ICs, and even for ICs with more experience, because it kind of teaches you the ABCs again. It's good to say, okay, you know what, I'm a great salesperson, I don't need training, or I'm a great consultant. But you know what, it's always good to get a refresher, and you can just type in on Google or YouTube. As a matter of fact, it's called the Trusted Digital Media Advisor, and they have a whole series of training in regards to every aspect on how to best sell. In their case, it's really the Google suite of products. But as consultants, we can learn a lot, because basically, if you follow these steps, or you'll be, if you go to the, there we go. Basically, they have a whole series of these trainings online, and the neat thing about it is that it applies to any. We can actually spin it or use it for any type of digital marketing service. So it's not just about Google AdWords, but it's also, you can use this for SEO. You can use this for social media. I mean, it's pretty great. I mean, I kind of liked it very much, and as a matter of fact, we're going to be showcasing some of these key concepts in our webinars starting probably starting January. And like I said, it's nothing out of this world, nothing that if you've taken some sales courses, it's nothing new. But the way they've been able to do it is really approach it from the perspective of digital media or digital marketing. And obviously, if anybody read the book The Trusted Advisor, which is a great book as well, one of my favorite books. It kind of talks a little bit about being the ideal advisor, going from solution-based selling to relationship-based selling to trust-based selling, and when you're doing only solution-based selling, which is the first step, sometimes you know what, the relationships are not strong. So as you move up the phases with your client, the depth of personal relationship increases, right? So again, I would recommend ICs when you have some chance, just go in there. Great content, and like I said, you'll probably be like, yeah, I know that, but you know what? You do know that, but are you actually applying it, right? So we'll be kind of going through this in the next few weeks. We'll put it together for you, and I'm actually happy that I found the YouTube channel, so I could share it with you, so you can kind of at your own pace work at it. But it's a great tool that you can use, and it's if you're a new IC that maybe your background's not necessarily in sales, it's perfect. If you're an IC that your background is sales, but you've forgotten how to do some of the key things, definitely it will be a bit of a refresher. And I'm telling you, if Google's using this for their channel partners, I mean, when we were there, Reach Local was there, other competitive agencies were there, and Google's training them as part of their overall strategy to work with their channel partners. So let's get on, let's be on top of things, and if you want to be able to compete in your local market, this is a great training and seeing it from where Google sees it.
Awesome. Great. Great. Thanks, Armando. Those Trusted Digital Media Advisor programs, fantastic, and I think the ICs are definitely going to derive a lot of value out of this. So as Armando's mentioned, we would be making this a regular part of our series so as to give you some good insights and good information on how we can solidify our sales and on our sales side of the business. Fantastic. So this is it for our webinar for this week for our LaunchPad edition. A little bit about us. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who we are by now. And of course, if you need to get in touch with us, please email Armando or just email us at info@wsilm.com, or even Amalia at wsilm.com. So feel free to email us and connect with us. Couple of questions that are coming up. So the ones on the Trusted Digital Media Advisor program, yes, it is absolutely complimentary. We just showcased the YouTube channel where all the videos are available, so you can go in there, you can access the videos, and you can use the information for reference. And there is no charge for it. Everybody's free to access that information. Just seeing any other questions coming up. Nope, I think that's it for the questions. Terrific. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this edition of our LaunchPad webinar series, and we look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Thank you.